What's up guys, so I'm making this video on request of a couple of subscribers to show you guys my Quiver, and the best way to do that is by going outside. So guys, what you can see right behind me right there is every board I've owned pretty much in terms of surfboards. There's some bodyboards missing because I've sold some, and there's some decisions I regret, which is why I've kept every surfboard that I've ever owned. Let's dive into looking, and you'll see that it's a pretty ordinary man's Quiver. There's some boards missing that I need to fill gaps. So hang around till the end, I'm going to have some tips on what my next board should be. It seems most sensible to do this in order, so let's start from the start, which means bodyboarding. These aren't my first boards, and I'll only go quickly through these because this is a surfing channel primarily. As much as I still bodyboard and still love bodyboarding, if people want to see more and know more about these, give me a shout in the comments and we can do another video in the future. This is the oldest of my three boards here. This is a Pierre-Louis Costa Versus model. It's a fair few years old now. Channels, present tail, versatile template. It's a really fun board. I may also have just lied. This may actually be my oldest of these boards. It's a Dub Custom X model. Let's have it on the bottom from the old Against the Grain days. Those who know know. Right there was Dave Hubbard's signature, but this was from the pit in Cornwall. I think he visited the pit one time and signed a load of boards. I was lucky enough to get one. I don't ride this one as much anymore. It's a very drop knee template and it is a bit of a pig to prone on. Amazing for drop knee. Surf's totally different to my other boards, which are slightly more versatile template. But yeah, really good board, very stiff. Recommend it. Next up we have another. Whoa. Bye bye board. Next up we have, I should apologise. It seemed like a smart idea to do this outside. The wind's making that seem like a bad idea now, but hopefully you can get a better view of everything than you would have done inside. Next up, an NMD Winchester model. This is a board I rode my brothers. Both of my brothers had Winchester boards. I rode one of them and loved it. And yeah, I still love it. Really cool, really nice board. Similar to my Pierre-Louis Costa in shape, but it does feel different to ride. Another good board. And the final of the bodyboard, not technically mine, my wife's, hence all the dust on it. But I'm sure I'd be allowed to ride it if I wanted. So I thought I'd show you guys it anyway, all red. This is something I would have recommended at the time when it was out if you were looking for a cheaper entry-level board. That all the key features you want in a board, but at a really reasonable price. Let's dive into the surfboards. I'm gonna double whammy the next two boards because I don't know an awful lot about them. This board right here is my first ever board, is the board I learned on. I'm gonna put one of these down. First one I learned on, as you can see there's a lot of writing on it now, I'll come to that in a second. Board itself, fixed thin. I snapped one off, which is more or less where I stopped riding the board. The dimensions written on it, 6'7" by 1'7". There is no width, but yeah, it was a great board for learning on. I was probably about 13 when I was riding this, so I was quite young. So although it wasn't a soft top and super floaty, there was enough there for me. And it also carried through well once I wanted my next board up. It wasn't too floaty, you could still turn on it, so it did me some good time. I actually snapped the board the fin being an idiot. I saw this guy in a video do this really cool thing where he dropped the board and caught it, and it looked amazing on film, but it was slightly more harder in real life. I snapped a fin, and despite multiple repair attempts, I've never successfully repaired it. The writing on it is ANC, Amy and Chris. It was because I learnt on it, I wanted to keep it. My wife doesn't like me keeping junk, so I said let's have it at our wedding as like a guest book. So it's kind of like people at our wedding all left messages on it and stuff, and yeah, quite cool, nice little souvenir of the wedding. My memory of learning to surf. So yeah, you've probably seen this in the background of some of my videos, and now you know why it's inside and what it is and why it looks so old, because it is old. I think even when I bought it about 15 years ago now, it was old then. So God, yeah, it's really old now. This board is the second board I learned on. This was my brother's board. We both, when we started to learn at the same time. He got this one, I got that one. This is slightly thinner, similar-ish in length, but he was like smaller, so it made more sense for him to have the one with less float. This one I was jealous of because it had FCS fins. Old school FCS though, not the new stuff. Don't know why I was jealous, there weren't particularly good fins in the board, just like stock standard stuff. And it also said Salt Rock. I'd say they don't make it, but I don't even know if they're still around, but Yeah, that at the time was another cool point which I was jealous of. Once I broke that and got back into surfing, because I went back to bodyboarding for a long time, I bought this back off him, or he gave it to me, one of the two. And yeah, finished learning up on this. This right here is where we get into slightly more normal modern day boards. This is my probably go-to board, particularly like at the moment when I've not had the opportunity to surf much. It is a 4th Doofer. It is shaped by Luke Half of 4. Comes in at 6'3", 20 1/4 and 11/16. So there's quite a lot of volume in it. I'm sure it's right about the 36 litre mark or something. I'm not 100% because it wasn't stock dimensions off their website. Coming from England, although I'm quite light myself, I wear pretty chunky wetsuits most of the year, and when we're not wearing chunky wetsuits, we never get good surf. So most of my surfing's done in pretty heavy wetsuits, so it adds a bit of weight there. I root the board by trying to do my own artwork on the bottom. They're the words to an Enter Shikari song. I'm gonna redo that at some point. I'm gonna get that off and put it back on properly and put some lacquer over to stop this stuff coming off again in the future. The artwork on the bottom, that was done by, I think it's Kathy Evans. If it's not, I apologise. If I remember, I'll link her Instagram below. She works with 4th and does artwork on board. Getting it custom, I obviously got a choice on the fins and all that sort of stuff. I went futures. I didn't have any futures at the time, just thought it was cool and nice to try something different over the FCS I've been riding. Yeah, this is just a really, really good general board. It's called the Doofer because it'll do for this or do for that. So it's meant to be a really versatile board, which is what I wanted. And it's probably the reason I don't have in those behind me a groveler, because I live 40 miles from the coast. When I go surfing, there's generally something from waist to shoulder high. Very rare I'm in smaller stuff than that. The smaller times it happens, this does the job. This is the board you've probably seen in most of my videos online. Highly recommend this board. I think it's changed slightly in shape and design and been improved by Luke and the team at 4th since I got it, but I'm sure it's still a really versatile and popular board. This is where we start to get slightly more interesting. These two bad boys are Pukas shapes. Pukas. This one's Peter Daniels, and this one is Pat Rawson shape. The Pat Rawson one, this one, my favourite of the two if I'm honest, is a Skate Plus 2 model. This is tiny in comparison to my board. It's quite long still, it's 6'2", which I'm 6'1" anyway, so it's not super long for someone my height. It is only 18.5 wide though, and 2 1/4 thick, so I would hate to hazard a guess at how little volume's in there, but it certainly isn't the current trend that most people are riding. This board on my right, aside from it being a Pukas, which is shaped by Peter Daniels, I have no idea what the model is, and I'll come on to why I'm a bit clueless as to the details on these in a second. It's 6'1", 18.5 by 2 1/4, so pretty similar dims to this, slightly smaller if anything, and of the two, I much prefer this one. By the way, the O'Neill aren't stickered. I don't think I'm sponsored or anything. I'm not one of those guys. They're on the board, and I actually got both of these boards when a local O'Neill store to me was closing down. I got like a stupid good deal on them. Super grateful to O'Neill for the deal I got on them, or the shop owner should I say. But yeah, it gave me an opportunity to ride a board which I never did. Certainly now, boards like this I wouldn't normally go for. I need a lot more volume than what's in these. I'm aware of that, but the price I got on them, I was more than happy to try them out. They're both old school FCS fins. I usually ride them with Julian Wilson model, the orange ones that you used to get, not because they're not the new FCS 2. I've not rode this one an awful lot simply because the Skate Plus 2, I have just found it so much better. But because of how narrow these are, God do they turn. If you lean slightly on it, they really turn. First time out on this is probably the nearest or slash best air attempt I've ever done. Numerous barrels. I really, really enjoy this board, but it's very thin, so the paddle power isn't great. But what I do find is that what you lose in paddle power, you kind of make up for in duck diving terms. It's so much easier to duck dive, but your arms are saved in that sense. So yeah, I would actually say if anyone gets a chance to ride one of these small boards, which everyone recommends not to get, try it. If you can get a good deal on it. I wouldn't go out and pay like 600 quid or more for a board that's way too small for me, and I know that, but it's certainly fun to ride. Coming in now, just rounding it off with some soft top boards. The first soft top board I got was this. This is the Softech Rocket. I love the colours it comes in. Very small as you can see. I'm not sure on the dimensions off the top of my head, but I'll find them out somewhere online and put them down here. It is a twin fin, and you get two little, like, I think they're Nubster FCS fins that come with them. I've not got them to hand at the moment, but the board itself is stupid good value, or it was at the time I got it anyway, which was a few years ago now. When you consider that you got in the FCS fins, which by themselves would probably cost 40-50 quid, it was a really good buy, and it's been surprisingly fun. It's certainly not easy to surf. You can't surf this in the way that you can surf a normal board, largely due to the wide tail and the twin fin setup. You can't lean on the rail as hard without losing it, but it's really fun in smaller surf. Despite it being so short, with it being so wide, particularly on the paddle area, I didn't find myself having too much problem getting into waves, particularly in comparison to what you'd expect a board of this size to deliver. I got this a few years, either before the catch surf boards were popular, or certainly before I wanted one anyway, and I'd seen a lot of them. But when I saw the catch surf board, just before I was serious about committing that much money to them, I discovered a company with really cheap versions online, so I got myself one of these. I really wouldn't recommend it. I did myself a little Mason hotel pad too. But basically it comes with no fins, so these I bought myself and attached in. Just FTS soft top fin socket things. It's a nightmare to surf. It's so small, it's so thin. It'd be probably okay for a kid to mess around on, like a very small kid, but you don't want to try surfing on one. It's just not easy. I couldn't even get into a wave and get up on it. I think the one time I've tried to surf on it, it lasted about 20 minutes. So, not long after, I bit the bullet and got on a V. As long-term viewers to the channel will be aware, I love my catch surf Stump. I've done about 3 different review videos on this, so I won't go into too much more detail on it. I'll just link the videos at the end, but I love this board. The difference between this and the cheap version is huge. This is almost surfable as a proper surfboard. Yes, it's not exactly the same, but it certainly gives it a shout with these fun elements of the soft top too. It's a quad fin, which I really enjoy. The mix of the quad and the wide tail. It's a really quick, fun board when the surf's small. I'm still tempted to take this out when it gets a bit bigger too. So guys, that is an aeroplane going over, so I'm going to wait till it passes. So that, guys, is my quiver. As you probably noticed, and as I touched on earlier in the video, there is a big gap in my quiver. I need a small wave board, a groveler type thing. I don't want to go super groveler because it's very rare I go when the surf is 1 foot and I need anything longboard-esque. I'm thinking in that range of groveler to where you can start to surf it properly. So if anyone's got any recommendations to fill that hole, let me know in the comments below. Any ideas and suggestions, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know your thoughts. I said at various points throughout this video, I was going to link some videos at the end to videos relating to these. So hit these square buttons to check them out. Circle button down here will subscribe you to my channel so you don't miss any future videos. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon.